There's a very old piece of wisdom, which is just know thyself, right? It is old Greek, Roman wisdom, but the reason that it's still relevant is because it's easy to lose track of. It's easy to not pay attention to yourself and how you relate to the world. And it's a harder task than people realize. But before I dive into this philosophical rabbit hole and try to give practical applications of the idea of knowing yourself, before I go down that rabbit hole, I want to assure you very quickly that this is going to be in relation to games and game development. I am limiting the scope of this because one thing that I know about myself is that if I don't limit the scope of this, we're not going to learn anything. We're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to even have a useful discussion. So the first chunk of this will, as always, be about games, and it'll be about knowing thyself in relation to the games that you enjoy, the games that you play, and what they can teach you about yourself. And then we'll talk about game development and a little bit of leaning into just skill development in general, because that is part of game development. But to give you a very quick overview, a summary of the ideas that I'm going to try to approach and discuss in this episode, I think that it is hard to know yourself, and I think it's easy to think that you know yourself without actually going through the process. And what I mean to say is it's easy to take it for granted. Right? It's very hard to really take some time, think through it, and get to know what it is that you need and recognize the differences between you and other people and you and the person who has 20 years of experience and knows better than you do. It's hard to sort through the stuff that they tell you and figure out what is stuff that you don't want to listen to but absolutely need to, and what is stuff that genuinely doesn't apply to you. Right? Where you look at it and you go, yeah, that's not for me. That's not the right method. We're going to talk through that a little bit, but here's a quick little tip. Try the method if it's coming from somebody with more experience than you, unless it is just catastrophic. Take the time to try it, and then you will know more about yourself and whether or not it works for you. And that also relates to the games that we choose to play. I've taken long enough to introduce this episode. Without any further ado, this is Game, Develop, Repeat, and I am your host, Chris. As always, thank you for joining me. How did you come to learn what games you enjoy playing? In the same way, how did you come to learn what books you enjoy, what movies you enjoy, what shows, etc.? I'd like to say the answer is experimentation. I don't think that's fully the honest answer of how I came to enjoy what I enjoy, but I do think to some extent it's experimentation, right? You play something, you get to know whether or not you like it, and if you don't, as a kid, you just go, well, I don't like this, and then you don't play it anymore. But if you enjoy it, then you lean in more, so on and so on. You find out what it is that you like, and that is how you get to know yourself. We're going to get into how this relates to the creative process later. As tempted as I am to dive in on it right now, I'm going to focus in on just the game side of things rather than the game development side of things. I've realized there's a point where you think you know everything that you like. There's a point where you go, I like these games, I don't like these. But you've only experimented with a small number of games, and maybe you got a bad one from this genre and a good one from this genre, and you went, I like this genre, I don't like this genre. Well, you were playing, I was trying to think of the worst JRPG I can think of, but then I was like, that's a really good way to stir up pointless argument and controversy, which would be nice. It might be fun to have a little pointless argument and controversy, but I think there's enough of that out in the world right now. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is maybe you were playing the single worst racing game that has ever existed. What is it? Big Rigs. Let's say you're playing Big Rigs Trucking. I think that's the one that was an insane, buggy mess. Let's say you're playing that, and that's been your only exposure to driving games. And then you played Halo, and that was your first shooter that you played. You're going to like shooters more than you like frickin' Big Rigs Trucking, more than you like whatever. And you're going to go, oh, I'm not interested in Gran Turismo. I don't like racing games, because this was an opinion formed when you were a young child with broad, generalized views of the games that you've played. Or maybe you were like, whatever, I'll try some other stuff, right? But if it stuck with you, you might just end up going, I don't like racing games. And then one day you try Gran Turismo and you go, oh, this is amazing. Or one day you try GTA and you go, the driving in GTA, not that bad. Or you play GTA and you go, I hate the driving in this. I just hate driving in games, right? It's easy to build these assumptions about what you like and don't like and not actually, this is the point I'm getting to, not actually get to know yourself, right? You're getting to know that you don't like this specific title. And you're thinking, I don't like this entire genre because I don't like this title. It's sort of game genre racism. I'm sorry, I'm speaking in the most broad terms. You're categorizing things in the most broad way that you can instead of getting hyper specific, right? Like you think about it and you can take all these shortcuts and you can go, I don't like this entire genre because I didn't like this game, and this game. Well, you're picking games that all have something in common, and that common element is what you don't actually like, and you're looking at a bigger, broader common element and deciding that's not what you like. For me, with platformers, I was like, I hate platformers. I don't like platformers. Platformers are not good. They're not fun, blah, blah, blah. I didn't like them in a certain time period. I didn't like Sonic, right? I didn't like Kid Chameleon. I didn't like Crash Bandicoot. What do those all have in common that you wouldn't immediately think of? They're extremely challenging for me at the time. And yet, somehow I end up liking Celeste. So that's not even it either. It's not the challenge. There was something about the controls feeling just a little bit too loose. There was something about falling down things all the time, falling through pits and abysses and whatever always drove me insane. Resetting at the beginning of a pretty long level is something that I despised in those games. There were different things for each game that I didn't like, and I just looked at it and I went, I don't like platformers, which was wrong. I ended up liking some platformers. I ended up making a platformer that I liked, and this is one of the reasons why I ended up making that game specifically, is because I don't really, like, I look at platformers and I go, I don't really like them. But by making a platformer, I discovered what I do and don't like about platformers. When I was choosing to make one, I was going, oh, no, I hate that. And then I was finding all the things that I enjoy about it. But we've slipped into talking about development a little bit. The point I'm making is there's a value in truly recognizing what it is that you don't like about a game rather than just saying that you don't like the genre. And then you can go broad and go, generally speaking, games in this genre have this thing and I can't stand it. So if you got a game that doesn't have that, great, I'll try it. But otherwise, miss me with that. Skip it. Maybe I'll give it 10 minutes, but for the most part, I'm not going after it. And it enables other people to give you better recommendations. I run into this, now I will go a little off topic, I run into this with music a lot. If somebody starts talking about the music that they like, I listen for things that they don't know how to describe in words. Like, I will ask them what songs they like, and I'll listen to the song if I haven't heard it already, and I'll go, oh, okay, this kind of vocal thing. And if they were just describing it in words, if they were saying, oh, well, I kind of enjoy, like, female vocals with this, that, the other, then I could give them, oh my God, I'm about to yawn, excuse me, then I could give them completely the wrong recommendation because I don't know the sound that they're listening for. There's a feeling to it. And I've found that I have a decent sense for knowing what somebody likes in a song that they can't actually put into words that easily, right? And it's not even that I can put it into words that easily, but there's a certain vibe. You can figure out the tempo. You can figure out the instrumentation, how open it is, how much like kind of soft pad style stuff there is versus like a driving beat. I guess you can put it into words, but there's elements of it that you just hear and you go, oh, okay, that's the kind of thing they're looking for. Maybe they'll like this. And if they don't like that, you get more data. It's easy to do that with other people. It can be a little tricky to do it with yourself because you're involved in the emotional experience of it. You're sitting there really sinking your teeth into it, and you're too busy reacting to it, which you should be, right? You're enjoying a piece of art or hating a piece of art, and you're really having an emotional experience with it. And it's hard to step away from an emotional experience with whatever you're engaging with and then come back around and go, oh, maybe actually this kind of vibe on this song is coming from this thing, and then think of another thing that's similar. When I don't enjoy something, I usually just go, I don't enjoy it, right? My instinct reaction is, I just don't enjoy it. I just don't know what it is about it, blah, blah, blah. If I can step away for long enough and talk with somebody about it, then I can get through it and analyze it. But the real takeaway that I want you to have on this, or the real idea that I'm trying to convey, is just, man, I often think I know exactly what I want in games, in playing a game. And then it turns out that I don't know, because I'm very emotionally involved while I'm playing games. And as a result of that, what action can I take in order to find more games that I like or learn more about what I like as far as games go? And it circles right back to one of the first things I said. It's experimentation. It's knowing, it's having that moment where you go, I know exactly what I want. I'm completely certain. I have worked through this logical process and I go, I don't want to try that. I do want to try this. I am interested in that. I am interested in it. And then going, you know what? I don't think I'm going to like this, but I'm going to try it out. I'll try this game. I'll see if I like it. I'm not going to invest so much in it, but let's just see. And if I hate it, I'm going to see what I do like about it. And one day, I'm going to use me saying that and that excuse to get people to buy a game that I've made that is terrible. That is very poor quality. I'm going to, well, maybe you just don't realize that you don't like it because you haven't tried it. So go ahead and try my 47. Well, you know what? Let's make it 60. Let's make it 70. Go ahead and try my $70 game that's 2 hours long and entirely abstract art that I threw together in a month. Go ahead and play that because you might like it. You never know. You could like it. Like this mindset can be used to manipulate people into bad decisions, but it's anything useful can be used for evil, right? And I do think that the idea of let me try this thing out so that I know is really handy. And I think that I have neglected that at times. I neglect that with certain genres of games still. Music, I'm a little more open with it, oddly enough. But, oh, yeah, there's a good example. Rap is one of my favorite genres of music. I'm finally fading away from it, but I was completely resistant to rap for the longest time. And then I found like one or two artists that I was into, and it just spiraled into me just listening to so much rap over the course of like half a decade, maybe a decade, just loving it, just finding the stuff that I really enjoyed. And I never would have enjoyed any of it if I had just gone, oh no, I don't like rap, so I'll never try listening to this, that, or the other. Now here's a weird one. Beer. I don't enjoy beer. There's a fundamental taste in beer that I do not like. And people have had me taste many different beers, and I have yet to find a single one where I go, oh, yeah, no, this is enjoyable, and I understand why people drink it. It's not the taste of alcohol. It's this, like, hop thing. I've discussed this. I've sorted this out with people who have worked at wine and beer stores. I've sorted it out with people who, like, are really into it. I just don't like it. And I'm not going to make myself like it because I'm not interested in it to begin with. So, if you're not interested in a thing, don't push hard and try so hard to explore and find the thing that you like about it and so on and so on. It's okay to just go, I've experimented enough. I'm not interested in it. I'm not going to waste my time with it, right? But if you're like obsessed, I hesitate to use that word. I use it too much. If you're deep into games and there's a genre that you don't like at all, and you haven't really tried it out, like if you haven't given it a good wide scope and there's something about it that might interest you, then, give her a try. And not just to find games that you enjoy, but to better know yourself and your own tastes and find out what it is that you enjoy so that when you get around to developing, you know a little more about what it is that you want to create and what it is that you want to avoid. Speaking of, let's talk about developing. we're going to take a very different angle when it comes to experimenting in development than what I just discussed in gaming, right? It's similar in some ways, right? You want to do some experimentation, so on and so on. But on the surface, you might think, oh, okay, experiment with developing different types of games, experiment with different engines. Cool. That's all very relevant and cool, and experiment with different methods and learn about it and so on. Great. Done. I'm on board with that. Cool. Now, here's the angle I want to talk about. It's more of I think the common struggle in development is not, learning the technical skills and all this. It's kind of getting to being willing to work on developing, or having the energy to sit down and develop, or finding a process that makes development exciting for you, fun for you, engaging, worthwhile, knowing what it is that really motivates you to develop, and not in the way where you like intellectualize it like I do and go, oh, well, I enjoy it because of this, that, and the other. And it seems like there's this thing in my psychology where I wanted, going through that whole thing. No, like feeling it out. Going, oh, I enjoy developing when I do it this way, right? Not I have this deeper psychological connection to creation. And maybe I have a God complex, and that's why I want to control this entire universe and make all of the music and make all of the art and make all the, create my own little world, so on and so on. Sure, fine. But that just gives you an existential crisis. And if you're a programmer, you've probably already got that. Right? I mean, maybe I should speak for myself. But if you're alive, you've probably already had that. So let's focus on something useful. Yeah, let's do something that actually has some kind of value and isn't just like navel gazing, wallowing in this feeling of, oh, this, that, the other. Okay, cool, great, done. I think that it is useful to experiment with different creative methods. It is nice to, if you are the guy who always does things very organized and keeps a spreadsheet and goes, okay, I want to first create this feature and then implement this feature and then do this, that, and the other in this order. And if I do this first, then we'll get to that and so on. And you're doing that and it's not flowing smoothly, or you're not having fun with it, or you're not enjoying it, then have a little kind of game jam moment with yourself where you just go, okay, I'm just going to throw something together. Right? And maybe you want to be really organized for a game jam, actually, whatever. But instead, lose yourself. Go fully whatever. Let's see what happens. How bad is it really if I go completely disorganized? How bad can my project get? Do a tiny little project and go, how much spaghetti can I make? We are Chef Boyardee. Boyardee didn't make spaghetti. We are going full on spaghetti, right? We're just going to make a mess for like a couple hours, maybe a day, just a small project. I mean, look, I finished an entire game and released it on Steam with it being pretty bad, right? Like fairly disorganized. I had one sheet of paper that it was, on my wall. It's a giant Post-it note on my wall that I had like some limitations written onto. It was like, I need to hit this, 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 and this, and don't do these things, right? Like I had that. Fair. But that was a bigger scale project, and that's still pretty fast and loose with it. All I'm getting at is if you're the super organized guy, get messy. Try it out, right? In ways that you haven't tried it out before. Because you probably, as soon as I said that, there's somebody out there who heard that and heard, get disorganized and went, I've tried it. I tried it. Okay, which way did you try it? Did you get disorganized by just not planning at all? Or did you get disorganized by throwing down a sheet of paper and just ripping through ideas and then just absolutely creating chaos for 2 hours and then going after that insane pile of chaos that you create? Not 2 hours, probably 20 minutes. And then going through the insane pile of chaos that you created and looking through it and going, which one of these ideas grabs me the most? Grabbing that idea, okay, cool, get rid of everything else, and then exploring that this is where the 2 hours come in, right? And then exploring that for a while. Or did you just go, oh, I want to make this idea, and then and your brain is trying to structure everything, and you're trying to think through it in this structured way, but you're going, I'm not going to do this structured. I'm going to be loose with it. I'm going to be chill. And then all you're doing is you're thinking in the way you always do, but without your notes in front of you, and you're like, I have nowhere to record all of this. Yeah, you're thinking in exactly the same way that you did before. Do a complete paradigm shift. Get your notes out like you normally would. Have your workflow in front of you, or a different form of your workflow, and do it completely differently. Right? There's another test you can do. All I'm saying is experiment with process in a way that removes some of your restrictions, adds different ones, and lets you have a fresh perspective. Or whatever little part of your process bothers you, which there will be parts that bother you, and there's no getting rid of all of those, right? If there's something that is completely sucking the fun out of your process and is bothering you that much, then mess with it. Change it. Make it more enjoyable. And then you will reach this point where you are getting in touch with the real reason why you want to do the thing, because you're feeling the enjoyment of it, right? And it can lead you to this nice, not existential crisis version of I like creating things. This version where you're not going, why do I even want to create things? What about this? Why it's such a... Instead, you're going, oh man, it's really cool when like I have an idea and then I just like throw it on a piece of paper, and then I have all these different ideas. And I sort through them, and I look at one of them and I go, that's the coolest idea. And then I get to start fleshing that idea out, right? Or vice versa, if you are this person who is just drowning in chaos whenever you're creating things, create a version of your process where you cut the chaos out, where you maybe you do the chaos initially, cool, fine, and then cut stuff out, or get that spreadsheet in front of you and organize all of these ideas as you're coming up with them. Or maybe, come up with them, organize them, come up with them, organize them. Try a little bit of whatever the thing is that is the opposite of how you do things. That's what I'm trying to propose here. However it is that you normally work, if it is not working for you, or even if you're just feeling a little stagnant and saying, I kind of want to move forward with this and get a little bit more something, then experiment with ways to get that little bit more something. Keep moving forward. Keep experimenting. Don't assume that you know everything about how you work. Don't walk around the world going, I know me. I know everything about me. I've got total, complete control over it. I understand what's going on in here. You don't. You don't understand the things that you haven't experienced, right? And also, let me just throw this out there in case somebody's being a doofus while listening to this. I'm not saying experiment with absolutely anything that life throws your way. I have seen multiple people do horrifically destructive things with their life by having that mindset. So let's be clear about one thing. I'm talking about creativity. I'm talking about a pretty safe environment, with the highest risk being exploring your own ideas and your own mind a little bit, right? Exploring what it is that interests you, why it interests you, and how you can effectively express it. I'm not telling you to go experiment in your life in dangerous ways, because there are some hard lines that you cannot come back from, right? Or that take years or decades to come back from. And I have witnessed it firsthand, and we're not going down this road, but I just want to be very clear. We are talking about creative experimentation. And creative experimentation, sometimes people will go, oh yeah, like, what if I do this thing in my life? That's not actually... I'm talking about drugs. Sometimes people will be like, what if I do shrooms? That'll help. No, that's not what we're talking about here. That is a completely different subject, which honestly is a topic that is better discussed with medical professionals than with creative people. Because sometimes creative people get lucky with life choices and then recommend decisions that happened to work out for them. So, make good choices and experiment with your creative process in ways that will bring you more creative satisfaction, or will just make you go, Oh, that one didn't work out. Okay, next thing. It needs to be easy to let go of. It needs to be, oh, I tried out this version of this process and I tried it for a week and I learned this, this, and this from it. It was a good experiment and I hated it. And I never want to use a spreadsheet again for this phase of my creative process. But now that I've messed with spreadsheets, once I get to this point in my process, that's probably going to be life savingly helpful, right? You know what I mean? This is how you get to know your process, know what you need to do. And I don't know that all of you need to hear this, but I needed to, for sure. I needed somebody to say to me, hey, this isn't just sit down and make the thing. This isn't just sit down and vomit your ideas out onto a page. There's a reason why your brain is going, I'm stuck. I have no idea what to do. And the reason is not that you are fundamentally flawed. The reason is not that you're bad at creating things. The reason is not that you don't have the creative talent or instinct or whatever. The reason is that you don't have a method. The reason is that you haven't figured out what works for you yet, and you don't have somebody walking you through it and guiding you and saying, try this one out. This worked really well for this guy. Or try this out. This seems like it might work well for you. Try doing some wild ranting. Try doing some sketches. Try doing something more visual. Try talking out your ideas, recording them, and listening back to them. Try just very structured, almost mathematical versions of figuring out what it is that you want. I do not know what works for you. Neither does the guy, I hate to say it, neither does the guy or gal with 30 years of experience. They don't know what works for you specifically. Now, can they guide you towards what works for you in insanely valuable ways and work as a mentor figure and be the most important person in your creative process for like a year while they go, oh, by the way, this might work for you. Try it out. Oh, this idea might interest you. Or, oh, you're exploring this idea. I'm going to tell you when I ran into something like this, this is a challenge that I encountered. So just keep an eye open for it. And when I ran into that challenge, it looked like it was going to be impossible to overcome, but you can overcome it. So stick with it when you hit that wall. Or that wall, that's a wall that there's a very good chance that you'll get stuck on it. Give it a week. If you get past it, tell me how, because I never figured it out. But if you get stuck on it for however long, just move around it. Here's a nice other path you can take. Creative mentorship is not that common. Academic mentorship, I feel like, is all over the place. Maybe it's just the environment that I've grown up in. Maybe it's the people that I've interacted with and what I've, the world that I've navigated. But I think I would have run into a lot more creative mentorship having majored in music, having gone through one of the arts. I think it's hard to do. I think everybody's got their own unique thing that they have to go through, but I think that it's something we need to work on. I don't think that it's something we're lacking because it's impossible. I think we're lacking it because it's very difficult to do and very individualized and requires people who are extremely invested in exploring their particular perspective to get extremely invested in helping somebody else explore their perspective, which is just inherently so tricky. But now I'm rambling about a education adjacent thing, and I meant to stay focused on development. The point that I'm trying to make is if you can find somebody who's got that level of experience with creative stuff and is open to like guiding you in a relatively like just in a way that's useful to you, then I would take advantage of that because I think that is a rare thing. And I am trying to find my own path through my own creative process. And I've been lucky to have some good mentors in different fields of my life for brief periods of time. And I've been lucky to have enough of a background in education where I can do this exploration on my own, which is really nice. But it is a challenge and a worthwhile challenge. And it's part of the joy of the whole creative process to get to know what it is that works for you. And it's easy to get lost in getting to know absolutely everything about yourself. ignore that for a second. Focus on one element and get to know what works for you in terms of fleshing out an idea. Get to know what works for you in terms of when you have a writer's block feeling, when you have a feeling of I cannot sit down and work on this, what's the angle that gets you to sit down and work on it? And just look at that one individual problem and say, if I go on a walk, what happens? For me, if I go on a walk, I walk for like 2 hours and I just keep doing other things. It doesn't quite work, but it kind of helps. So I'm going, okay, I'm a little closer to it. What if I go to a different medium? What if I play piano? What if I do this, that, or the other? And I found some things that help a little and some things that make it worse. If you run into one that makes it worse, then it's very discouraging and you kind of lose yourself in it and so on. If you run into something that makes it better, you go, I found the single solution to my problem and it will always work. It may have just worked that day, or maybe you had some caffeine that you forgot about and that's the actual solution, right? It's like, oh yeah, I was half asleep and then I drank coffee. You got to run some experiments. You got to find out whether or not it's just a day where you need a nap, or if it's just a day where you need to like meditate for 10 minutes or play piano to like just get some feelings out so that you can pay attention to the blank page, or if you just need to write 2 paragraphs of absolute garbage before you get to the actual stuff and then just erase the first 2 paragraphs. Are you just terrified of writing the first word? Are you just terrified of writing the first line of code, of putting down the first bit of your game idea? Or do you genuinely have no idea what it is you want to make? And if it's the second one, brainstorm. Write down random ideas from stuff that you see around your house or about your day or just that you're curious about or things that you're mad about or whatever. Do some absolute wild stream of consciousness nonsense. And then as far as actual workflow and like learning, how do I put this? Learning to use the tools that you're using. Also experiment a little bit. There have been times where I go, why is this the only way to do this? And then it turns out that there's a different way to do it that takes, 1/10 the time, right? You can shave an entire week off of your process and get something done in like 2 hours because, I experimented with a different tool. Yeah, sometimes it takes 10 hours to experiment with a new tool. And then over the course of your entire life, you save months. So yeah, sometimes waste 10 hours because every once in a while you're going to hit a gold mine that more than makes up for all the other times that you've wasted 10 hours learning some new tool or some new language or some new angle of approach, some new perspective. That's my rant about development and knowing yourself. You gotta get to know what it is that actually works for you in terms of both creating things and using all of these tools that we struggle with. That one was unexpectedly fiery. I don't know. That's interesting. I have a lot of feelings about this one, apparently. I have less of a question this week and more of a suggestion, and that suggestion is to run an experiment. And if you need a question to lead to the experiment that might work well for you, ask yourself what it is that you want to mix up a little bit. What part of your process is kind of getting under your skin or creating a wall, blocking you out, keeping you from doing what it is that you want to do. Because maybe it's not some fundamental problem. Maybe it's just an issue of tools and perspectives. And it's actually extremely simple to fix. Or extremely simple to fix compared to what we as creative people sometimes think the problem is, which is some giant abstract thing. Some huge problematic abstraction that will doom us forever and make us never enjoy whatever we're creating, right? That whole thing, it ain't that. It's probably, you probably just need a snack right before you start working or a little bit more time in nature, a little more sleep, or just a piece of paper on a desk instead of a keyboard and a screen. Maybe it's process. Maybe it's environment. Maybe it's not your fault. It's just a little change that you need to experiment with. That's all I got. That's everything for this week, and I will see you all in the next week. Thank you, as always, for joining me. Get out there. Make some stuff.